Hey everyone, it's Scott from CertMedia.com, and in this video I'm going to be answering a question that I get quite often about permalink structure for their website. In WordPress, you have quite a few options for your permalinks, and if you don't know how to set them, you're probably having a website where your URL is a query string with an ID followed. That is the default string. What you need to go do is go to Settings and Permalinks. This is what actually allows you to set your permalink structure, and you have quite a few options. You have plain, which is the default query string with the page ID, day and name, which is when it includes the year, the date, the month, the day, and then the post name. Then you can have just the year and the month, and followed by the post name, a numeric ID, and then the post name. And then there is another option that I'm going to discuss here in a minute. There are really only two options that I suggest to people on a regular basis, using just the post name, or, and this is really applicable to only well-maintained websites, under custom structure, you do a backslash, and then you put the category followed by the post name. So now if I go to like one of my recent blog posts, I'm just going to find it real quick. Here it is. It's the towing capacity in the 2021 Kia Sorento. So this has a URL for questions and answers. So what would happen is the URL structure would turn into something like this. Questions and answers. It would just append the primary category to the URL structure. This is good if you're a very content-heavy website and you tend to have shorter post titles and you tend to have shorter category structures. Now, this isn't very good for most websites, and I'm just going to come out and say it. For primarily two reasons. Most people tend to structure their content incorrectly. My general advice is when you're setting up a category, you should only have one category per post. And if you want to have multiple subtopics, you structure them around tags. Most people, and I don't know why this is done, tend to add 3 or 4 or 5 categories to their post, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Your categories are the main means of structuring your content. Tags are supposed to show how content can be related more broadly. So let's take this post for example. An example tag I could do is Kia Sorento. So any car that was tagged in a blog post and is just Kia Sorento, this would be a tag and it could be relatable. But I could also make a tag called towing, and towing can cross many different cars, but towing itself is a subtopic. But my content is structured around this being an answer to a question that I was asked, and that's just a good way of structuring the content. So my typical recommendation is for most websites, just use the post name structure. And if you want to have your categories as your means of structure, make sure you just include it by clicking in your custom structure, go right before the post name, and click category. That's really all you need to do. If you have any questions about this URL structure for your specific website, I'll try to help you out, but you need to keep in mind that URL structures are really not going to make or break your SEO. But one thing they can do is, depending on how you're sharing links on your website, is on websites, particularly Twitter, where you have a character count, it could cause sharing those links to be more difficult because the URL is going to get longer. If you have any questions, make sure to ask in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.